I remember you told me that they were the number one breast implant in Asia.
She was able to go to Costa Rica and actually use Motiva Breast Implants, one of the first US surgeons ever.
Hearing as I was going through and understanding the technological advances they had made with the implant itself, it was that they were solving problems.
I've always loved the company, and I'm glad that they're sticking sort of to their core beliefs.
The beauty scientists, Dr. Christy Hamilton and Dr. Roy Kim. Real beauty without the hype.
Hello, this is Dr. Roy Kim, and I'm here with my wonderful co host, Dr. Christy Hamilton. And this is another episode of The Beauty Scientist. And today it's going to be mainly about Dr. Christy because she was able to go to Costa Rica and actually use Motiva Breast Implants, one of the first US surgeons ever. So, congratulations. But how did you get involved with this trip to Costa Rica to Motiva Breast Implant headquarters?
Well, we're unscripted today, but I want to say the journey actually begins with you because you are the person that put Motiva implants on my radar because I remember you told me that they were the number one breast implant in Asia. And I was like, that was really interesting to me. And you talked about the relative merits and in particular mentioned the extremely low rate of capsular contracture. So when I found out that one of my current breast implant reps was maybe jumping ship to the company and she ran it by me, I was like, you should take that job 100% because I've heard such amazing things from you, Dr. Kim, and then some of our South American colleagues. So then I ended up having dinner with some of their leadership when they were kind of building their Houston team. And then they invited me down to Costa Rica to demo the implants and do live surgery on my now first international Costa Rican patient. I have a Costa Rican medical license. And also to tour their facility and kind of understand like the ethos of their company and what they're all about. And it was really, really eye-opening. And I'm really excited about the technology, but I feel really, really good about the company itself and what it's trying to offer women.
That's wonderful. So, in case you've been under a rock out there, Motiva breast implants were FDA approved in late September. They're made by a company called Establishment Labs, based in Costa Rica. Establishment Labs is actually publicly traded on NASDAQ, so it's a big company, and they have stock and all that stuff. And tell us about the actual tour of the Motiva breast implant factory.
It's very cool, and you can see that they're gearing up. So they have their all this is new, right? It's all state of the art. And I felt like the experience was akin to watching like an Hermes bag being created. So there were, it looked like, like 50 steps. We walked through the entire process, station to station, where they make all of the breast implants. And they use this, it's really interesting. So they use the same material for the shell, the gel inside, and the patch, just different ratios of two of the substances so that they can kind of cook the implant and have it all meld into one cohesive unit. Everyone took great care. Their mantras or like notes that they write for themselves are that, this implant may be placed in them, their friend, a colleague, a woman. So you could see the care with which they were examining every aspect for quality control all the way through. So that was my first time seeing how a breast implant was made. And interestingly enough, one of the other big companies, their factory is just down the street. So I didn't realize that this like particular industrial area outside of San Jose is like the spot for breast implant creation, but all state of the art, extremely clean, really strict parameters, and also workers and employees that seemed just like really happy. They had setups for them for massage to make sure, because they're manual laborers, they rotate them through the station. So they're all accustomed to whether it's like sterilizing the implants at the end, packaging them, creating the shells, like filling the interior. Like they do all of those so that it doesn't get repetitive and so that they don't lose, focus by doing the same thing over and over, day in and day out. So I thought that was really interesting. And they were so excited to have us there. I mean, they said from the beginning, their dream was to get their implant into the US market. It's the pinnacle of, safety, success, all these kind of factors that they laid out for themselves. And so they were really, really delighted to have us there. And you could feel it was like palpable, the excitement. And so we got to speak to a number of them along the way.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, tell me about the surgery experience, like meeting the patient doing the surgery, whether you had an assistant or you were assisting or a combination of both?
So I thought they set it up very thoughtfully. I was operating in conjunction with a Costa Rican surgeon. So he had sent me in advance her images, her wishes, kind of about like the aesthetic that she was going for. And obviously, I am no longer in Costa Rica, so he's providing all of her post-operative care. But they had a beautiful state-of-the-art operating room with actually a U.S. American anesthesiologist that now lives in Costa Rica. So I got to meet him too in advance, and then a big viewing gallery where the other surgeons were, and they mic you up and have everything ready so that you can communicate with the observership deck. So I got to meet the patient in the morning, kind of go over everything. Clearly, there's unlimited implants available, so we could choose anything that we wanted and didn't have to worry about having to place an order. And just got a good feel for her, and then saw her afterwards in recovery. And then I got some follow-up photos about a week later, and the assurance that she's really thrilled. So it was a really, really great experience, and nice to use the implants in hand, because then that was a Saturday. Sunday I went back to Houston, and then Monday was my first US case. So it was like helpful to kind of just get a feel for the technology and how it may handle a little differently, and talk to the international surgeons that were there.
That's awesome. And then for this specific case, did you use the Mia Femtech approach, which is the axillary incision and I believe subglandular under the skin approach?
So that technology, they said, it has been launched in certain countries, obviously not the United States, but they had one of their surgeons demonstrate it. And it was very, very cool. They basically have this entirely closed system where they have, you think about how we place implants through a funnel. So they had kind of like a firm one that you use suction to suck the implant up. So this is now the 7th generation gel, so squishy, so flexible that it can actually suck it up into the funnel. And then you just bluntly create a little pocket through the armpit, and then you just deploy it and it just pops in. I mean, it was incredible. I did a traditional approach through the inframammary fold, so that kind of how I would do a breast augmentation in the US, but we got to see how that Mia Femtech is how it works. And it was really impressive, the design of the implant too, for something that is like relatively small volume. It packed a pretty good punch in terms of like how it presented itself in the implant, because of how they designed the implants to have that like diamond edge. So there's a little bit more projection with smaller volume. So it was really cool. I mean, their thought is that this becomes like it's still absolutely surgery, and they want board certified plastic surgeons doing it, because you still need to know the anatomy, done under a local, done more in a procedure room as opposed to an operating room. And then almost no recovery, no incisions on the breast, and it's pretty neat.
That's awesome. So for the viewers and listeners out there, yes, these implants have been used in traditional ways, specifically traditional incision, all that good stuff. The Mia Femtech or Femtech approach really is smaller underarm incision, specific types of Motiva implants, and highly specialized disposable single-use surgical equipment that Motiva has actually created, so that you can actually put the implant into the pocket in a smaller incision and basically under local anesthesia, correct?
Under local anesthesia, 2 centimeter incision in the armpit. And they, we asked, well, one of the things that we've been taught is like, oh, if you place it through the armpit, then when you go to do an exchange later, you still have to place an incision probably on the breast to adjust the pocket. And they were like, no, it comes with a 2-year warranty if you change your mind about having implants at all. I think warranty longer for the implant itself, but if you just change your mind about having the implant, they will pay for you to go have it removed also from the armpit, which I thought was extraordinary as well. But definitely for smaller volume implants only, you're not putting 500 cc's in through the armpit yet, but because of the placement, they looked quite voluminous for a relatively small volume implant. So that's exciting for someone that's looking for a more subtle but still meaningful enhancement, and doesn't want significant downtime, doesn't want their muscle cut, doesn't want to be out of the gym. So it's kind of presented as more of a like a small procedure as opposed to a more significant operation with more meaningful recovery. So it was pretty neat.
Well, that's very exciting. So initially, when I heard about it, I thought it was a bit of marketing. But now that I've read more about it and you've described it, it's more than just marketing. And then we will see how widespread it becomes.
Yes, yes, we'll see. I think the way that we do the operation now, I don't think that's going to change. I mean, certainly for women that want fuller looks, that need more adjustments to their breasts, like we really need to redefine cleavage lines, like if we're adjusting folds or whatnot, people with more asymmetry, then we're still going to do what we're currently doing. But for women that have a really great baseline and they're looking for a more, a smaller change, and they just have always wanted to fill out their bra, they feel like it's gapping or going up half a cup size, something like that. This is, and they may not want to have what they perceive as like a really big operation. This is the solution. So I think it's more about making it more accessible to more women that are maybe kind of like on the fence, as opposed to like revolutionizing like the patients that we're currently taking care of.
Right. Well, that makes total sense. So any final takeaways from your trip and use of Motiva implants?
I think to me, what I like the most about the company was like how they view themselves. And you've talked about this too, as a women's technology company. So I think they were there seeking to provide solutions. And when you find out that the CEO and founder of the company, his dad is a plastic surgeon, his brother is a plastic surgeon, what I was hearing as I was going through and understanding the technological advances they had made with the implant itself, it was that they were solving problems. So even though we love breast augmentation, it's a great operation, there's always like a small subset of women that have issues with scar tissue, how the implant looks or feels afterwards. And those are the patients that we see back frequently because we're trying to figure out like how to help them. And by designing the implant the way that they did, you can tell that they were thinking very thoughtfully about how to preserve a woman's muscle, how to decrease that risk of capsular contracture to incredibly low rate. All these things that as both a surgeon taking care of women, and as like a woman myself, like I would want in a breast implant. So I'm excited. I've done a number of cases now, and I'm excited to see how they do long term, particularly for my patients that I'm doing revisions on for capsular contracture from implants that are 20 years old.
Right. Well, that's fantastic news. I mean, I've always loved the company, and I'm glad that they're sticking sort of to their core beliefs. And I'm glad that you're able to see it hands-on in Costa Rica.
And I'm so glad you put them on my radar because I think you're really the reason that I got involved with this so early, because when I heard the name pop up, I knew exactly what they were talking about. So thank you, Dr. Kim. I'm like excited to bring the technology to my patients.
Well, I mean, thank you. And you're a superstar, so they would have, they love working with you anyway. But yeah, I'm glad I brought it up, golly, a couple years ago before it came into the U.S. market. Yeah.
Yes, you're always on the cutting edge.
Well, I try. Well, anyway, to everybody out there, thanks so much for listening. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton, for your insight on this awesome trip to Motiva headquarters. And for all of those out there, if you have any comments, questions, let us know. And if you have anything you want us to talk about in the future, please let us know as well. So as always, stay beautiful.
Stay beautiful.
Thank you for joining us on The Beauty Scientists. Be sure to visit thebeautyscientists.com and learn more about modern beauty and connect with Dr. Hamilton and Dr. Kim.